Welcome back to another video. My name is Abby, and today we are talking about why willpower alone will not get you your wish fulfilled. And as you can see, there's a special guest. We've got Niclas from Upgrade to Life here today to talk about this topic. He is an expert in all things manifesting. We actually did another video for his channel, which you'll see in the description box below. And if you go to his channel and you are interested in learning how to consciously manifest your goals and master your life, he's got an amazing master course for you. So check that out. Niclas, thank you so much for doing this with me today.
Sure. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, let's get into it. So how would
Yeah.
you describe willpower versus free will?
Yeah. That's an awesome topic, a big topic in this whole community. And I see people like mistaking those both topics a little bit. So first of all, I would like to touch base on what those both things actually mean, and then we can maybe look into that. So for me, free will actually is, like Neville said, just choosing an idea, choosing a state, choosing your desire, right? And stepping into that state. But everything that happens in between until you realize that goal, until you manifest that desire, is out of our league, is so to say not happening in our like conscious decisions. It's just happening, right? We are being moved. So that for me is free will. So there is one quote. If you want to, I can read it. It's from Neville directly. So
share the knowledge.
He said, your assumptions, conscious or unconscious, direct all thought and action to their fulfillment. To understand the law of assumption, to be convinced of its truth, means getting rid of all the illusions about free will to act. Free will actually means the freedom to select an idea you desire. And by assuming the idea already be a fact, it is converted into reality. And beyond that, free will ends. And everything happens in harmony with the concept assumed. And I totally agree with that, what he said there. And that is how I think about free will. So what do you think? Like,
Yeah,
do you also, yeah.
When he talks about that, where, I do think that there's a misconception of free will being, you're going to go out and whatever you want to choose, you're going to choose it. And I think that's where people get tied up, where it's like, well, I don't want this experience with, like, I want to have more money. Why can't I choose that? And I think we had talked about it before, where free will and, the 3D versus at the higher consciousness level. And it's like really subconsciously, can be restrained from truly being able to freely choose. And until you're changing those assumptions, you don't have the freedom. When you can choose and you're not stuck in that one reality, that one experience with those assumptions, until you really go to the basics and your subconscious looking at your assumptions, you really don't have free will. And I think people are going around, or, I'm sure both of us have something, that we're unconscious to, that constantly digging in and seeing, okay, how can I bring more awareness? How can I bring more light? And, watching videos, learning from other people, seeing those different perspectives and thinking, oh, okay, oh, that thing now, because there's awareness, I'll get to actually make a choice, because before the choices are essentially making me, they're making my choices, and I'm founded in them and thinking I'm free. So yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to say it, especially in his words.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree what you said. And I think with that, what you said, the topic of willpower comes into play, because when people don't realize that when they are like more aware, more conscious, they can select their ideal states and their desires and goals by stepping into the wish fulfilled state. They try to force things with willpower. Right? They try to make things happen on this three-dimensional plane. They work harder, or they think all the time they need to do more, which in my opinion is like the lowest paradigm actually, when you come at it with wanting to do more and do this technique, do that. But like Neville said, they don't realize that all their actions, all their thoughts, all their reactions are coming from the current state that they're in. So for example, a wealthy person that is in the state of being wealthy, being abundant, will act completely different than a person who, for example, is in a state of lack or is poor, right? They will have different reactions and actions in their life. So willpower is not the cause, but it is an effect of the state you are in. And also one other quote, which is about willpower, is when Neville said, whenever imagination and will come together into conflict, it is always imagination that wins. So imagination and the state of consciousness is always what wins.
Yeah, that actually
So
gave me chills because that's the thing I love about Neville Goddard. He's so concise and he can say one sentence and it's like,
it's
yes.
just clicking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that is true where it's like, what is at the foundation? And even thinking like, oh, if I had more willpower, if I did harder work, if I tried harder, then I would be getting this thing. That also goes back into like a Newtonian way of seeing it, which is if the outside changes, then I can change the way I feel inside.
yeah,
So it's like, okay, well, if you have that paradigm or that view of things, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to use this willpower, even though at the foundation of that, it's wanting to express. And in your example about lack from somebody who doesn't have a lot of money, well, I'm going to just force it through and hope that that external changes. So then I'll change and I'll feel,
yeah,
excuse me, abundant. And then I can do that other way. And instead, it's the opposite. Use your imagination to start changing your assumptions and start changing your self concept, then your willpower will be applied differently in a much
yeah,
more effective way. And, like you're saying, somebody who is, with that idea of like has a lot of money and doesn't have a lot of money. Those two are really just like, it's like characters in a book. Like this person would say these things, this person would dress this way.
yeah,
And if you can pull out that subjective emotion and make it more objective and like just see it as like, okay, if you went into a clothing store and you're going to dress for winter as opposed to dress for summer, those are going to be two different schools of thought, and you're going to act a certain way in that store. You're not going to go to the shorts if it's like freezing in the winter. And just the same as people who are wealthy and have a lot of money, it's the assumption, the wealthy assumptions that they're having a wealthy self concept that eventually they see reflected in their world. So yeah, it's so important to see that the free will and how you get there, and then there's the willpower and
yes,
how they work together, but they will be in conflict if you don't see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that is when those people feel the resistance, right? That is when they feel resistant and that what they're doing feels not in alignment, and it feels like hard work. It feels like they need to try out the next thing. They need to do this or that. So yeah, that's why I'm always a fan of focusing on your state and focusing on your self-concept.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome that you talked about hard work and it being so hard, which is going to be, if you're interested in that, our other video is going to be actually on that. So if this is, ringing some bells for you, definitely check out the other one because it's going to cover that idea of hard work and persistence. And obviously, we're talking a lot about self-concept. So according to you, what is the biggest mistake or misunderstanding that you see people making when it comes to self-concept?
Yeah. So there are some, actually, it's not just one. There are some
Mm,
mistakes I see people make. One of them I recently saw a person that contacted me doing, or I figured it out while talking with them, is that they see their self-concept as a tool. It's just another technique, as like
mm,
doing the static into sleep kind of thing. And they see, oh, I heard self-concept. I know it's kind of important. So I try to apply it to get my one goal, to get this
mm.
person, to get this job, to get this money, whatever they want. So they just see it as this one tool to get them one tiny thing without
Yeah.
actually realizing the full potential of their self-concept, right? Because for me, self-concept literally determines everything that plays out in one's life. So it's not
Yeah.
just there to get you one thing, it's there for you to feel comfortable, to feel whole, to like shift in the version of you that you want to be. And therefore, obviously it is easier to get the things you want, and they will come, they will reflect back to you. But that is one thing when people only see it as a tool. So maybe
Yeah.
you also saw this in your community, but yeah,
Yeah, totally.
one
That's a
thing.
great way to see it. Yeah. It's like, it reminds me like of a house and like you really want this dream bathroom and you're like trying to change that thing, but not realizing that the whole structure can change and it will change and it can change. And how, yeah, I guess you're saying where it's maybe like using a car to listen to the radio, not realizing you can like drive around and go on road trips and like how powerful and accessible that thing really is, and that
Definitely.
idea, and really applying it to your life and seeing where it can go from there really.
Yeah, that is one thing I would say. And another thing is that people still don't realize that their self-concept is changeable. Because when you break it down, it is your concept of self, right? There is this unbiased, formless, faceless consciousness, and then you wear a mask, the mask that determines which role you play in this game of life. And people think, oh, like I am who I am. I cannot change this. It's set in stone. I have this character traits. I am the way I am. right? It's hard for me to make more money. And they identify with this current version without realizing that this is just one out of an infinite amount of possibilities that they made manifest because they again and again and again retell the story and identify with this one version. And what I want to help people do actually, and what we are doing in this video, is show people that this is just one version and they can shift into their desired version with the one magic thing, like Neville figured out, which is their imagination, and identify with their desired state. So that's the second big thing I see people make, like mistake.
Yeah, totally. And it does go, like, I love that you said that too, where it's the concept of self and like how simply it is, but when you turn it around, and yeah, we are just wearing masks or identities. And a lot of that was, what I've been learning is how you identify now. It's totally good. That's how it got you here. Those are kind of coping mechanisms potentially. Like I learned to be really loud and like get a lot of attention, and that helped me. And then I was getting a lot of value from that and validation to get me to where I am now. And now I'm realizing, oh, that's, as I'm evolving, like going more inward and doing that on my own, yet it gave me a skill to help communicate. And if I think something's interesting, I want to tell everybody about it. So that is a benefit, but not staying stuck that I need to, get that from other people, and changing my concept of myself and being more rooted in myself. But that in my athletic career, that's a lot what happened is, as you evolve up, and it's easy to see objectively, like different markers, like, okay, this is a measurement, this is another measurement, but me seeing myself at that measurement that I wanted, and actually stepping in and imagining what that would feel like, and looking out into the world, and what are these other people who are doing that? What does that look like? And also proving to myself that that exists in the world. And yeah, it is changeable. And a lot of times people stay stuck because it's more familiar. And they are trading that greater version of themselves for comfort, not realizing it, because it can be uncomfortable, and we associate that with scary and dangerous maybe, and just like really asking yourself like, okay, it's going to feel different, and that's good. I love all the stuff covered today. I think it's wonderful. I really hope that everyone benefited. Again, check out Niclas' page, subscribe. He has amazing stuff over there, and don't forget to check out his masterclass. Thank you so much for being here, and
thank
for
you.
your time today.